Hello and welcome to another pattern recognition video. This one featuring some endgame patterns, which are very important to study because, sometimes a lot of chess players will neglect the endgame. They're worried more about the opening and tactics, and of course tactics are important. But let's see what endgame tactics we can find in these puzzles. I'll try and do at least 10 puzzles. You can pause at any time if you need to think longer. And remember, if you're trying to improve your pattern recognition, it can be a good idea to go over puzzles more than once. That way you don't just look at them once and forget the tactics and patterns and the ideas that you see in them. So what is happening here? Well, we just had a king move forward, grabbing the opposition, leaving this one odd square in between the two kings. And so, this is a good thing to remember in endgames, trying to grab the opposition, because now my king can't make any forward progress. The only thing I can do is, move my king to the side, either direction. But I want to, probably move over here and attack this pawn. Now, the opponent, one thing they could maybe try is to push this pawn forward, and then if I were to take that, I'd end up with a rook pawn, and a lot of times those can be a lot more drawing, especially if the enemy king, is able to get over here on the H file and kind of block the path of that pawn. We could end up with a stalemate in the end. But, I'm going to go here. And sure enough, they do this move, thinking that maybe I'll capture and end up with that rook pawn, and then they can move over here and control the queening square. So what I need to do is take with the king. Now that gives them the opportunity to move forward and grab the diagonal opposition, but I can start moving my king up the board, and if they try to get around in front of my king, I can always grab the opposition back by moving my pawn. So, let's see what happens here. I go here. They try to start grabbing the opposition. I can just grab the opposition now if I want to. And now they have to give ground. If they move to the left, then I can move up here to the right and gain ground and get closer to getting control of this queening square, especially if I can move my king here and then just march my pawn up. All right, on to puzzle number 2. Let's see here. Okay, the opponent has pushed their king forward, revealing a discovered attack on my queen. So what I really need to figure out is, if I grab that queen and then they take, am I going to be able to stop their pawns? They're going to have two passed pawns moving up the board. So it looks like I'll have some moves to be able to get over here in front of this pawn. But will it be enough? I probably need to move up here, and then, if they take, I have to figure out, do I just take and start marching up? It'll take me 4 additional moves to get my pawn promoted. So this is something that's very important in endgames, is if you are contemplating, trying to decide if you want to go into all pawn endgames, be very careful, because there's a lot more calculation than there appears to be. So only go into an all pawn endgame if you're sure that you're not going to lose, and sometimes that's a little difficult to figure out. So here, if we take, they take, I could leave my king here, and start moving my pawn immediately, because if they push their e pawn forward, I can move up here and cover it. But I have to be careful. If they bring their king back here, you know, after they've already pushed this pawn, then I might not be able to stop that because their king will cover this square, and if their pawn is here, it'll be covering that square and it'll kind of cut me off. So I think we can take. If they take, it appears that I have to go here first, I think. So if I do that, and then what? They'll probably start pushing their pawn. This is where it's going to get really tricky. All right, to keep the video moving along, I'm going to go ahead and take. Oh, no, they don't want us to do that. Wow. Oh, what was I thinking? Okay, I guess I was trying to rush. Obviously, I can go there first and then take the queen. So hopefully you found that move. All right. So I go here, then I take the queen. Now I only have one passed pawn over here to worry about. And in the meantime, this pawn can jump forward. If they take, then let's see. If I take, we'll have a square of the pawn here, here, here. So this is something you have to know. The king will not be able to get into that square of the pawn and stop me. So I'm going to go there. Now we can just take, and there's no way to stop this passed pawn. All right, on to puzzle number 3. Let's see what we have here. Okay, this pawn pushed forward. What is the idea behind that? I guess it was under attack, and they decided to move 2 squares instead of 1. Which I don't know if that's the greatest move, because now that pawn could easily come under attack and it would be hard to defend it. And our knight is helping cover this in case that pawn wants to continue pushing forward. We could just take. All right. Oh, but we have to watch out, because if our knight moves, it's defending this pawn and they could capture with a check. So with our turn, generally you want to look at what your opponent did on their last move. Okay, they push this pawn. What's the idea, the meaning behind that move? I guess it was to help protect that pawn that was under attack by the rook. Now you could take a quick look at the material count, and we see that they have what? 2 extra pawns. 2 more pawns than we do, and I think the rest of the material is even. So they're just up by 2 pawns. So we need to do something here. So then we want to look at checks, captures, and threats. Now, why do you want to take a look at the material? Well, you just want to see if you're ahead or behind material, and that'll help you to decide if you want to trade down into a winning endgame, or if you need to go for a attack because you're behind on material. So we could go there, delivering a check. Okay, then the only thing the king can do is go there. And then... Oh, wait a minute. We could also deliver a check with our knight. Maybe, is that a checkmate? I think it is. So hopefully you found that move before I did. I think we can just go there. Oh, well, the king can step forward. And if he does that, then I think we can deliver the checkmate with our... it won't be a checkmate either, because he can... Oh yeah, maybe it will be, because the knight will be covering e3 now. So then we can go there. So I think that's a checkmate in 2. If we go there, the king, can't go anywhere on the back rank because of the rook. The bishop is guarding e2 here. The knight will also be covering e3 as well as delivering the check. So the king will have to move forward, after we check with our knight. And then, then we can just deliver the mate over here. So check, and mate. All right, hopefully you found that. I have the rating set at like 1500 to 2200, so hopefully it'll give us a mix of some easier and some more difficult problems. And also, I've mentioned before, leave comments if you'd like to. Let me know, are you getting tired, especially regular viewers, are you getting tired of the pattern recognition puzzle videos? Do you want to see something else? I'm trying to do maybe some more blitz games because they're a little quicker, they're not as slow and maybe boring as the rapid games. So, let me know if you got any ideas or if you have any requests, if there's something specific you'd like to see in future videos. All right, on to puzzle number 4. Okay, well, their king is way out of the action over here, and it looks like we can just move up here and attack the base of this little pawn chain, grabbing this, and then maybe we can take that and move our pawn up here to promotion. So we have to see how many moves that'll take. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our pawn is free to move, but they could go 1, 2, and then on our third move, when we grab their pawn, they'll end up here. And then if we move back and take the g6 pawn, they could only go up to here, but then we can grab the opposition from the side, and then we would be controlling the queening square. So, this is a pretty important pattern. We grab that. Now we grab the opposition from the side. Now we can go ahead, grab the opposition again, and we're controlling the queening square, so we can just march our pawn up and promote it. All right, on to puzzle number 5. What do we have here? The king has stepped forward. And what is that doing? Well, why would they go there? I mean, now it looks like maybe we could go there with a discovered check and we'd be attacking their queen. Oh, wait a minute. Well, that would work, I think. I was thinking they could go here and check, but oh, well, maybe they can do that. Yeah. If we go there, they can save their queen and get rid of the checking piece. Remember, whenever you check the king, there are 3 or less options. Capture the checking piece, block it, or run from it. So it looks like that does not work. We check the king. They don't want to block with the queen because we'll just capture. The king doesn't want to run, or we'll grab their queen. So the queen has to be saved and capture the checking piece, and then we'll be in check. So how do we deal with that? Are there any other checking possibilities? We want to look at all checks first, as they are the most forcing. So maybe we can go all the way down here with our queen. A lot of times these long distance moves are overlooked because you're moving a piece all the way across the board like this. And this is pretty forcing. The king can only, can't block, can't capture the queen. King can only go there. And then I think we can deliver a checkmate right here because our rook will be covering that square. The queen will be blocking the king. So this is a great pattern to look at here. Once the king goes here and we move here, we'll be covering all of the A file, these 2 diagonal squares here and here, and all the squares through the middle. The only thing that won't be covered are these 2, which the queen is preventing the king from running there, and our rook is covering that. So, all right, we're halfway done. 5 more puzzles to go, and they have a runaway pawn here 2 moves away from promotion. So, how do we deal with that? Well, if they try and go, move 1 more, we can always go here and prevent that. Then we just prevent that pawn from going anywhere. But their king would be able to run over to this side. So we need to figure out, what can we do? What if we try to move our knight here, and then here to block the pawn? Well, then they can move their king up, try and knock that knight out and promote their pawn. Would that give us enough time to move our king over to grab this pawn and then promote our own? So it's a little tricky here. Maybe we can get our knight in a position to capture this. So we would have to be here maybe. So maybe we can go there, there, and in 3 moves we could grab that, and then we would have a passed pawn over here. So at the same time, if they're trying to move their king over to grab this, I think we would be okay. So we go there. If they move this pawn, then we just go here and we can stop that pawn. And then we can, at the same time, move over here and attack this. So I think that works. We go there. Now we want to knock that pawn out. All right, now it says that this can't be stopped. It still looks a little bit tricky, and this was rated 1987. So it was played, I'm guessing, at a game that with players at that level. A 1987 player maybe made these moves. All right, so the king is going to try and go after this pawn, but the knight is protecting it. So the king would probably have to move up here and try and attack the knight. But then the knight could move here. And if the king tried to attack the pawn could go here. And it would give our king time to grab their pawn and then come back over to help promote our own pawn. All right, on to puzzle number 7. Okay, we just had a capture. And these are supposed to be endgame tactics. I don't know if are we really into an endgame? And why didn't they... Oh, maybe it was a checking piece there. I was wondering why they didn't just grab our queen. So it looks like, we could think about grabbing their queen. But let's look at the material. We have 5 pawns. Our opponent has, 6? So they are ahead by a pawn. We do have the bishop pair. Oh, but they have an extra rook. So maybe that was a rook that they captured. Now, here's a great little pattern. You see how this bishop is pinning this pawn. So we can go ahead and capture here with a check. The pawn will not be able to take our queen because it's pinned. They can't capture the checking piece. They can't block it. The king will have to run, and then we can mate on the next move. So check and then mate. So great little pattern there. All right, on to puzzle number 8. Hopefully you are solving these with not too many problems. Okay, they just captured with a check, and we're pretty much forced to recapture, I would say. And then our pawn is trying to go, in that direction? So if we take, they'll be able to move up here, getting closer to our pawn. So we will probably have to move our king up the board. If they try to get in front of our pawn, we can go there. If they go here, we go there. And it looks like, if they try to grab the or get in front of the pawn, we can grab the opposition. So I think we're good. Go there. We start moving up to try and get up and in front of our pawn. So we just keep moving up the board. And what do they do now? We're one move away from controlling the queening square. Normally, the defending king should try and get in front of the pawn, but here, if they do that, we can go here, grabbing the opposition, and then they'll have to move left or right. If they go one direction to the side, we go the other direction forward at a diagonal. So if they go there, we're going to go here, and then we're controlling the queening square, and we can just move our pawn up and promote. All right, on to puzzle number 9. Okay, the king was in check. It has moved forward. We have the possibility of checking in multiple different ways. Now, we could go there. We could just, I don't know, even go here, picking that off, but then we're still behind by a bishop. So checks are most forcing, so we definitely want to take a look at those first. You know, maybe we could go there, and then the king would be forced to go here, the only spot available, and then we could capture that, and I think that would be a mate. So check, and then mate. All right, so hopefully you found that one. On to the final puzzle, number 10. All right, what is happening here? Well, our opponent is trying to hang on. They've retreated their king. They do have a bishop. So in this position, the game will come down to whether or not we can find a way to promote our pawn. So what can we do? All right. We're trying to move the pawn here. So our opponent did a good job of getting the king in front of the pawn. Now what? We can't move forward here because of the bishop. We could try and grab the diagonal opposition. Then what? If the king goes here, well, also, because our knight is on the light squares, we might have to watch out for an attack on our knight. Like if their king moves up here, then tries to attack our knight. I mean, I guess our knight could move and counterattack the bishop, but we have to watch out if our king moves away from the defense of this pawn. Now, luckily, our pawn is on the opposite colored square from the bishop, on the dark squares, and the light squared bishop won't be able to attack it. But, I don't know, this is pretty complicated. We could... I mean, can we attack the bishop? Does that do anything? The bishop will have to move, but that bishop has multiple places it could go. I mean, it probably wants to stay on this diagonal to limit the scope of that king, prevent it from going there. So, all right, if we go there, you know, and they move, let's say, I don't know. If they move the bishop, and what is the knight achieving by going there? Wow, this final puzzle is a little bit tricky. You know, hopefully you're figuring out the right move here and having less trouble than I am. Okay. Well, I don't know. Usually you want to get the king involved. But if we go there and he goes there, now maybe there's a way that our knight can cover that square. And kick the king back so that our king can gain ground. Wow, this one is tricky. And that's why when you go into an end game and you have a knight in the end game, there's more of a chance that you could pull out a win instead of a draw. It's a little harder to draw when there's a knight in the end game, especially the knight can move and cover both colored squares, whereas this bishop is stuck only covering the light squares. But all right, do we just attack the bishop? If we attack that bishop and I don't know, it just moves there, then what? I don't know if that accomplished anything. Then, if our knight is here, what does it do next? The bishop would be preventing us from going here, but does that do anything, putting our knight there? All right, if the king ends up here, and that bishop has to move, well, if it ended up there, if our knight were able to land here, that would fork the king and the bishop. But how would we get there? Maybe we go there and then we'd have to go there and then there. I don't know. That takes a while to do all that. Wow. All right, this final puzzle is ending up being a difficult one. So what do you all think? Do I go there with the king? They're probably just going to go there. Can I leave the defense of this pawn, though? And because then they could attack the knight. Yeah, and then I would be kind of stuck. So maybe I have to get my knight somewhere where if the king ends up here, I can attack it. And where can I do that from? From here? From here? So, man, if we attack the bishop, man, I don't know. I'm just going to have to make a move here. Okay, so I guess I got lucky. That was the move they wanted. But now what? What's the plan? I mean, do we go here checking the king? Oh, wait a minute. We could... Well, if we try to move forward and attack this bishop, I mean, what if he went there? Attacking the pawn. Man, there is just a lot going on in this puzzle. I don't know. This is a tough one for me. And if you find any puzzles that are particularly difficult for you, that might be some type of tactic or pattern that you want to do more puzzles for that specifically, or work on that problem. So, what now? If we attack, we're no longer protecting the pawn. I mean, if he goes there, if we just take the bishop, he can take the pawn, and then it's a draw because you can't win with just a knight. So, wow, what now? Um, all right, I need to keep the video moving along. So I guess I mean, I could deliver a check there, but I don't want to put that knight on the edge of the board like that. That does not seem like the greatest thing to do. Okay. Do I go there? No. All right. What now? What else is a possibility? Do I deliver the check? No. Okay, wow. So I don't move the king forward. Okay, so I guess we have to. Do we go back with the knight? See, I just don't know what the best move is here. Man. What do they want us to do? Come on. Maybe go there. Oh, yeah. Because now we can move the knight down here and check the king. Huh. No. Wow, they don't even want that. What do we do then? Man. We go back up and attack the bishop again? No. We go there. Oh, come on. What? I mean, we don't go there. What are? I don't know what they want. This is ridiculous. We go there. There. Okay, I'm doing every move possible with this bishop. I have no clue. Let's get a hint. What? I thought the pawn had to go that way. Am I looking at the board wrong? Maybe I am. What? Wait a minute. Am I just looking? Is my brain scrambled? I guess it is. Oh my gosh. I was thinking the pawn had to go in that direction. All right. Yeah, that was just ridiculous then. I mean, what now? Now we just go there and so yeah, sorry about that. I guess my brain was melting as we got to the end of this series of puzzles. That was pretty ridiculous. I thought the pawn had to go in the other direction. I guess I was looking at the letters and numbers on the board incorrectly because they flip the board back, back and forth sometimes. All right. Feel free to leave comments, like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day. Ugh.